Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the third of our winter training series for 2024. Tonight, we have Nathan James taking us through on the concept of the Cricket Australia holistic objectives, and certainly looking forward to a good night of training and adding to our umpiring toolbox, and hopefully plenty of questions from you. If you got any questions, as always, either use the raise hand function or pop your question in the chat, and really looking forward to a good night. Uh, Look, without any further ado, handing over to Nathan, all yours.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Evening, everybody. Nice to see you all again. As Matt mentioned, we're going to go through the holistic objectives, and this is something that comes from Cricket Australia, but is relevant to every umpire, whether just starting out in community cricket, all the way up to the top. So I thought we'd go through this. We have gone through this in previous years in winter, but about now is probably a good time to sit down, review these as a group. Get a better understanding of what we mean when we talk about holistic objectives, what we can do to improve our game, so that we've got a really solid plan heading into the season, whether your season starts next week, as Matt mentioned, 6 days away from the summer season starting, or whether you're still a few months away. It's a good time to have a look at these. So first off, when we talk about holistic objectives, so what do we mean by that? So basically, the holistic objectives are 10 very simple objectives for umpires to aspire to, and what they do through embodying and demonstrating these objectives. You'll see an improvement in your on-field performance. You'll see an improvement in your off-field image, and you'll also see an overall improvement as both a match official and as a person. So in terms of what these objectives are, and we'll go through each of these in detail, we've got enjoyment, professional, communication, team first, a coachable attitude, continuous improvement, rebound, prepared, committed, and leadership. So we'll get cracking with the first of these. And the first one is around enjoyment. So when we talk about enjoyment, we're talking about someone who's optimistic, someone who's positive, and someone who's grateful. So things that we would expect from a community cricket umpire when it comes to enjoyment. We're looking for someone who enjoys the challenges of decision making, and regularly attends PD workshops. So tick to all of you who have attended tonight, to improve their skills. They enjoy the pressure and the responsibility that comes with the job in terms of demonstrating judgment and skill. They're not afraid of shying away from the difficult conversations. They're not looking to necessarily control the game, particularly when they're umpiring with a partner, but they're looking to have probably a lead from the front and lead from behind where appropriate. And that ultimately they also look like they want to be there. So we've all had the Saturday or the Sunday where cricket was probably the last thing we needed to do this weekend. But the key to being a better umpire is even those days where you might not be 100% up to the task or feel like you're up to the task, you at least look like you want to be there, so that we present the best product we possibly can to the players. The next objective is around professionalism. So when we talk about that, we're talking about promoting a positive image of not just themselves, but umpiring as a product. So what we're looking for from a community umpire there would be that they take responsibility for their own PD and is proactive in seeking help and support to improve their game. So things that you can do around there, obviously attend meetings, attend coaching sessions, but it's not just about what us as coaches provide you. Quite often we will only see a lot of you once a month. So what we're looking for from an umpire who is excelling in the professional side of their game is that they're noticing something that they can improve on and taking meaningful steps to do that themselves without necessarily waiting for a coach to come along in a month's time and provide them necessarily with those skills. And that might mean that you seek out a mentor. I know that I do in terms of my own game. Sitting down, self-assessing your matches. And that doesn't mean you need to sit down and write an essay after a game on, here's all the things I did well, or here's the things I could have improved on. It can be as simple as, and a lot of us have a decent drive home after a game on a Saturday. It might just be that for 20 minutes you sit there and you sort of self-reflect on the conversations you had throughout the day with the players. I could have handled that situation better. The decisions you made, I thought that decision was really good. That LB might have just been sliding. And then when you sit down and honestly assess your game, you go, I've really had an issue with LBs the last couple of weeks. I need to go and do some work on that. So I might then reach out to a mentor and go, hey, look, I'm having an issue with this in my game. Is there any advice you can give me to improve on that? Take a look online. There's so many resources in terms of being able to help your own game rather than just waiting for a coach to jump in when he sees something, or when you get an observer come and look at you, if you get an opportunity for that to happen for your game. It's trying to cut those flaws, for want of a better word, off in your game before they become a pattern or something that's clearly noticeable. We're looking for someone who, as I said, attends, learns from PD programs and promotes the role of an umpire. So I'm not asking you to go and stand on the street corner with a sandwich board going, join the umpiring group, because I'm not doing that. So I don't expect you to do that. But what I'm also saying to you is that, when you have conversations with past players or players getting to the end of their career, it's not going to be harmful if you're having a social interaction with them to go, have you considered taking up umpiring? Not going to hold you to it, but, just having those conversations, attracting people to the field of umpiring. But also, if you're not into those sort of interactions where you can do that, also not detracting from the umpiring experience. So don't just sit there and go, oh, woe is me, it's the worst job in the world. I only do it because I need some extra cash on weekends. We're looking for someone who promotes that positive image of umpiring. We're also looking for someone who dresses appropriately according to association regulations. So I'm sure you'll hear people like myself and various other members of the state umpiring panel, we bang on about this every single year. It doesn't matter what competition you're doing, doesn't matter whether you're umpiring by yourself, by a partner, in a panel of 3 or 4 umpires, we dress appropriately for the game that we're doing. And that really shouldn't mean we rock up in the stubbies and the thongs. Okay, I know that that's probably something that a lot of us do, particularly in those really hot months. It's just not a good look. And if we're being honest, the game expects better from us as umpires. So let's make sure that we give the game that respect. We're going to move on now to communication. So what we're looking for here has an excellent interpersonal and communication skill set. Obviously, we talk about communication all the time. It's one of the most critical things. But what are we actually looking for when it comes to someone who has a good communication skill set? We're looking for someone who knows the importance of body language, eye contact, facial expression, gestures, tone of voice when communicating. We talk about this at length in most training sessions. when giving a decision, being, standing up straight, giving that decision, it might be a really tough decision to make, but if you look confident, you look that bowler in the eye as you turn down their 25th LBW appeal because they all think it's out, but it's clearly not out. Really making sure that you got that strong non-verbal communication skill set to go with the verbal when you get asked, oh, gee, why did you, why wasn't that out, or what's wrong with that? Being able to combine the two is what we're really looking for when it comes to a really good umpire. Knowing when to speak and when not to speak at critical points in the match. If you're someone who's a bit of an extrovert and likes to chat, don't worry, there's plenty of us out there. Know your time, know your place, okay? Yes, we all use Premier Cricket as a bit of a social thing. It's our weekend just as much as it is the players' weekend. But we've got a job to do at the end of the day, and we shouldn't be letting our social interactions get in the way of that job. Okay, know your time, know your place, know when it's not appropriate to crack the 10th joke of the day. That can come sometime later when the heat's out of it, when it's the right time. And last that I've got there, works to support their colleague if you are umpiring with a partner at all times, and is prepared to take the lead to establish effective communication. And what do I mean there? We've probably all been in that situation where we've got a captain that we just can't work with. Doesn't matter what we try, how we vary the way that we communicate or deal with that particular captain. They're just not receptive to what we're saying, what we're asking them to do. What we're looking for in terms of a good communicator is someone who can acknowledge that and go, right, I need to take the lead with that conversation with that captain. Moving into team first. So I've spoken about it a bit already, but what we're looking for here is someone who contributes to the shared values of umpiring. Now, again, just because we're umpiring on our own doesn't mean that we don't need to show a team first attitude. It's all about us as an umpiring body, not as a umpiring individual. So what do I mean by that? So supports their colleague and the umpiring team ethos at all times. So when you get the question, you might ping somebody for a no ball for a fielding restriction. Captain comes up to you and goes, oh, such and such didn't do that last week. We're not about putting the guy that umpired them last week under the bus, even though that might be the easy thing to do. Using lines such as, look, can't comment on what happened last week. However, this is my interpretation of the playing condition. Move on. So whilst we're acknowledging that, yes, things might be different, we're not looking to throw our colleague under the bus there. Likewise, if we are umpiring with a partner, making sure that wherever possible, we actually support them and the decisions that they're making when we're out on the field or when we're dealing with stakeholders. We're looking for someone who demonstrates self-awareness of their role by acknowledging that they are part of an officiating community with shared values. So again, trying not really hard not to throw our partners under the bus when someone comes up and goes, oh, geez, copped an absolute raw LBW decision on the weekend when we catch up with them at the water cooler on Monday. It's not about throwing guys under the bus, as much as that sounds like an easy thing to do, and it's an easy way to keep that conversation going. Not what we're looking for when it comes to someone who should be team first. And last but not least here, we're looking for someone who supports colleagues because they know it will increase their own capacity to overcome problems. So why do I say this? we've probably mentioned it a few times during the law courses. There's absolutely no way known that you are going to know off by heart every single law in that book. Okay, you're going to need to constantly revise, constantly study. You're going to need to know how to apply that law. You're not going to necessarily know what it says. Okay. What we're looking for is if we all apply the same standard in terms of not putting our colleagues down by